Hello, precious saints of God. This is Reverend James Nyemah. I come to you today from the edifice to be able to talk to you about the grace of God. They will continue to speak from my upcoming book, Let Grace Speak. Judgment Can Wait. The grace of God is sufficient for all of us, regardless of our history, regardless of our backgrounds, regardless of the mistakes we have made in life, regardless of the struggles we have, regardless of the dreams and our purpose in life. God's grace is sufficient for all of us. Jesus did not come to die just for the righteous. As a matter of fact, Jesus said, barely will anybody die for a righteous man. But for the sinner who needs salvation, people sacrifice, people pay money, people do all kinds of things to help people who are in trouble. And Jesus has said he has come to give life and give it more abundantly. His mission on earth was to seek and save that which is lost. Whatever you find yourself in life, whether you have made some mistakes and you have come to your senses to come back to God, to come back to your family, to come back to your full potential to pursue your goals in life, God's grace is sufficient for you. No matter what struggle you experience in life, whether it's unemployment, whether it's divorce, whether it's recovery from drug, from addiction, from some other thing that made a higher lifetime for some time. When you are ready to come back home, come back home. Don't let anybody push you away. You see, in the Bible, there's a story called the prodigal son. And in the story of the prodigal son, the young man lavished everything that he took from his father. He said, give him a portion, and he went to enjoy his life. And soon later, he came back with empty hands. But the Bible said when he came back to the senses, he said, I'll go back to my father's house. I will apologize to my father. Not even to be a son, but just to be a servant. So this young man was ready to come back. Now that he know he messed up, he was ready to come back to live a humble life. And he returned. On the one hand, his father on the other side, willing to accept him, longing to see his son come back home. His father welcomed him, arms stretched, gave him a big hug, kissed him, ordered the servants to give him shower, to put a new robe on him, give him his ring back of honor, and killed a big cow and threw a party for him. And they started to play music and be merry, happy, and dance, because as far as the father was concerned, my son who I thought was dead has now been given back to me. So the father called everybody to celebrate. But there was one person who had a problem, the elder brother. That represents those who are doing well in life. That represents those who think they are so-called righteous. That represents the so-called holy people. It is interesting, after God has given grace to somebody, saved them, delivered them from something, kept them righteous, kept them holy for some time. And they've been enjoying the grace of God to prosper, to have success in this or that, whether in happy marriage or with job or with ministry or whatever thing they do. As God has given them grace to have success, if somebody who have went astray decide to come back to God, instead of them welcoming them, instead of brothers and sisters standing with them, praying with them, supporting them, encouraging them, helping them to get out of the old habits and develop new positive habits, helping them to get out of the old places and helping them to get to better places, helping them to let go of bad relationships and start good relationships to push them forward in life. Interestingly, the folks in church turn to stand as righteous judges over them. Instead of being our brother's keeper, we become our brother prosecutor. We become our brother police, checking behind him, checking behind our sister to see what he or she has done. We become the police. We become the prosecutor. We become the judge. We condemn them as if God's grace is not sufficient for them. The same grace we enjoy, yet the same grace we withhold from others. The question is, who are you to stop the daughter of God who has come to her senses and decided to come back to God? Who are you to stop the son of God who has come to the senses and decided to stop and decided to come back to God? The elder brother refused to come in the house. He refused to join the celebration. As far as he was concerned, his younger brother messed up. Let his younger brother pay for the sins. Let his younger brother die in the sins. Let shame and disgrace carry him because he was greedy, he was anxious, he took money, he lavished everything. Let him be destroyed because of his own life mistakes. How many times do you stay in judgment over somebody just because you get certain things right? And by the way, maybe if we really check on you, you might be like the Pharisees who took that woman and wanted to stone her, the woman who was caught in adultery. When Jesus began to write on the ground, all of them ran away. I wonder why they ran away. Have you ever thought about that? Oh, I believe Jesus was writing their names and their own sins they committed. That's why I made them guilty and they all ran away. Don't be like that. Let grace speak in your life today. That God will deliver you from that selfish behavior. That God will deliver you from the hypocrisy that you've been carrying on in church, pretending to be holy, pretending to be righteous. Yet you're not able to welcome your brother who's coming back to God. Jesus has said, a poor widow who has several coins lost one, 100 coins lost one. She picked up the lamb and swept the whole house looking for the one coin. Jesus has said, the Bible does say, if one sinner repents, there's a huge jubilation in heaven, celebration. Heaven stopped to celebrate one woman who comes back to God, one man who comes back to God, one boy, one girl who comes back to God. Yet people today in families, in the church, when somebody is coming back to God, or brother who mess up coming back, or sister who mess up coming back, we want to step on the head pretending in the hypocritical fashion that we are better than them. My brother, my sister, you're not better than anybody. The same grace God gives you that keeps you up, the same grace is sufficient for that brother, for that sister who have some struggles. Am I you? Sometimes the first can become the last, because when God ready to turn things around, those you might overlook now may become those who will be leading you tomorrow. So why you put on this garment of holiness and righteousness and put on the crown of hypocrisy that you know you can't stand under? Be careful. We are not called to be our brother's police. We are not called to be our brother's judges. We are not called to be the prosecutors, but we are called to be our brother's keeper. The same way God gives you grace. Give grace to your brother. Let goodness and mercy flow from you, not judgment. Let the loving kindness of God flow from you. You are supposed to be the light, not darkness. Don't cast darkness upon somebody who have been through some stuff and is trying to come back to the senses, trying to come back to God. We should help them and push them forward in life. If you are doing well, continue to do well. If your brother is struggling, help him. If your sister is struggling, help her. That all of us can do better together and celebrate God. Today I pray, let God speak for you. Let the grace of God minister to you. Those of you who try to be hypocritical. And for those who are struggling, who are coming back to God, may the grace of God speak to you. For those who are caught up in certain things that have not come back to your senses, may the grace of God speak to you. Let hold of judgment, but let allow the grace of God to speak to us. Will you become the mouthpiece of Jesus to welcome somebody to the kingdom? Will you become the hands of God to embrace somebody and welcome them back? Will you become the eyes of God to see the need and feed it and not judge it? Will you become the person who have the heart of God big enough to welcome everybody, regardless of where they come from? Do you know God celebrates diversity, and God works with all of us based on our strength and our weaknesses, based on our righteousness, based on our sinful behavior? God welcomes all of us if only we are willing to repent, and God is willing to receive us and bless us. Today I pray, let grace speak in your life. But please, don't be your brother's police. Don't be your sister's prosecutor and their judge. That's not what God called you for. Am I you? Don't try to be the accuser, because then you'll be working for the devil and not for God. God bless you. Let grace speak in your life today. Judgment can wait. Jesus' blood paid it all.